Lovely, lovely, lovelies. Welcome back to the NALF YouTube channel. We are in an interesting era here where I have a broken toe situation and I can't really do anything except stay in the house. I got in trouble for leaving the house yesterday. This is a text message that I received. Around 15:30 today, you were spotted out on the street with your crutches. You need to stay home the next couple days and rest your toe, as the doctor said. So I did escape my home yesterday to get some food and get some fresh air, but I was spotted and somebody ratted me out, so I got in trouble. So I am here in my apartment doing nothing. So guys, as most of you guys know, last month I started a Patreon, and today we are going to fulfill some of these obligations that I owe to some of these lovely, lovely Patreon supporters. So today's video is entirely dedicated to topics suggested by those lovely humans. Now, we have got one very special patron. I'm sure you've seen his comments under the NALF YouTube videos here and there. The legendary Mojo Jim is a patron at the producer level, and so he is entitled to basically an entire video dedicated to whatever he wants to hear or see. So the legendary Mojo Jim has requested a very heavy topic, and it involves basically me, my experience with football, my identity, and how I will survive and go about life once football is over. We talked about how this is basically a long-term process, something that I have to think about a long time, and it's not going to be a quick video. So in the meantime, Mojo Jim has decided to share his producer status with a couple other members of our community and ask them what they would like to see on a video. So we are going to discuss a couple of topics that Mojo Jim asked some of our people. Mr. Mojo Jim talked to the Goatling Queen herself, Miss BRNT. Her first suggestion was in regards to some sort of travel videos that I obviously can't do right now. I can only do things from home. So, in regard to NALF not leaving the house, she wants to hear about foosball versus football. Now, to you Europeans, foosball I would call soccer, and football is American football, the sport that I play with the unicorns. Now, obviously, in Europe and most of the whole world, soccer is the most popular sport. I think soccer is the most popular sport in the world. But in the United States, it's football. It's a football country. It is all about freaking football. College football and the NFL absolutely dominate the culture, and everyone kind of grows up wanting to be a football player for the most part. So it's interesting for me to come from that culture where football is king to Europe, to Germany specifically, where football is not as popular. Like, American football here in Germany is more similar to what soccer is in the States in terms of level of interest and stuff like that. There's probably more interest in soccer in the States than there is in American football in Germany, but it's kind of in the same ballpark, I would say, especially with American football growing and becoming more and more popular. I'll say since being in Europe, I have become more of a foosball soccer fan, like interested in it, interested in the Bundesliga, Champions League, Premier League, where before I came to Europe, I was just like, soccer? That shit's weak. I don't give a shit. But now I'm pretty interested in soccer. I think it's fun to watch. I love playing FIFA, but yeah, I'm biased. American football is the greatest sport in the world. If you understand it and you understand all the intricacies and all the ins and outs and all of the teamwork that is necessary, I think people would feel that way about football. But yeah, I guess that's all I have to say about that. When I'm healthy here, I will get after and start planning this Grimm Brothers fairy tale travel route that you suggested. I think that'd be really, really cool. So, Miss BRNT, that is all I have for you right now. I know you would be happy with some goats. Unfortunately, our landlord has a no-goat policy. I'm just kidding, I don't know about that, but I will be on the hunt for some goat footage this summer for you. You deserve it. Now this one, also courtesy of Mojo Jim, coming from Sonia. Okay, Sonia, now I struggle with a lot of fake English terms that Germans use, not knowing that a lot of times these are incorrect. Okay, so, all right, we'll talk about here typical English mistakes that German speakers make. So let me just start off by saying I am absolutely blown away and impressed by the English levels here in Germany. It's super, super impressive that most people can speak two languages so well. And I really have no room to talk at all because my German sucks. But Sonia has asked to point out some of these typical mistakes that Germans make when speaking English, so I am obligated to do so. Okay, I would say one of the first, biggest, most common mistakes that German speakers make when speaking English is the phrase, "we see us." From German, it says like, "Wir sehen uns," means like, it literally means "we see us." So people will often say this as you're departing, being like, "Okay, we see us then." Basically means like, "we'll see you later," but it does not translate well to English, so it always sounds funny when people say, "Okay, so we see us later." That is one of the most common mistakes I hear, because "wir sehen uns" is such a common phrase in German, and if people translate it literally to English, it means "we see us," which just does not really make sense in English. So instead, you should probably say like, "All right, we'll see you later then," or I'll see you later," or "we'll see each other later." I don't know, something like that. But "we see us" just doesn't really make sense in English. So that is the number one most common one. "Wir sehen uns," "we see us." Okay, but I love it. I love it when people say it. It's just, I know what they mean and I understand it, and it's endearing to me now at this point. Another one that I love is the verb to make. Like machen in German is used for so many things. So like you make party, you make sport. So in English, if you translate that literally to say like, "Oh, are we making party tonight?" Like, it just sounds hilarious. We make party. Like in English, you would just say, "Are we partying tonight?" Or "Are we going to party?" But in German, if you translate it literally, you say, "Will we make party?" And it just sounds funny and cute. Same thing if you say like, "Oh, you make a lot of sports?" Like, it just doesn't work. You would say, "Do you do a lot of sports?" Or even to say like, "Was machst du?" Like, what make you? What are you making right now? Means like, literally like, what are you doing? So to translate max or machen to English just sounds funny, and it doesn't sound exactly right. So instead of saying make, we would say do in a lot of situations, the verb to do. So that is another big one. Oh, okay, so this one is just a word, not a phrase, but I guess it's two words. The term public viewing, which in Germany typically will mean like a viewing of a sporting event, probably a soccer game, outside somewhere with a big screen and a bunch of people there, and it's like a big event, fun event, for people to go and watch a sporting event. But in English in the States, a public viewing typically means like if somebody has died and they are doing like a public viewing of the body for people to come and pay respects. So that one is definitely different and can cause some confusion for some people. So I know if you say public viewing in the States, typically it's going to mean that. Oh, here's another one is when Germans ask questions and they'll say like if somebody wants to know the translation of a word, I say something confusing like, "Yeah, I was flabbergasted by that behavior." And then someone will say, "Whoa, what means flabbergasted?" When they mean to say, "What does flabbergasted mean?" So it's just a little bit of order of the words there that always comes out in a different way. And same thing if you're saying like, "What do you call that?" Like someone say, "What is this?" That someone in Germany might say, "What calls this?" And in English, you would say, "What do you call this?" So it's just a little bit of misorder of words there, but I find that to be a pretty common one. Okay, here's a good one, is the use of the word until, right? So say somebody says, somebody has like a homework assignment, say, "I have to finish this until tomorrow," which I know what you mean, like it means I have to finish this by tomorrow. Or you could say, "I have until tomorrow to finish this." But oftentimes, native German speakers speaking English will say, "I have to finish this until tomorrow," which is a little bit confusing. So oftentimes I think people will swap the word until and the word by when talking about stuff like that. And I think some of it's because the word bis in German means by or until. You could say like bis morgen or bis Freitag means like see you until then or see you by then. And then another one is with the word since. It would be like, "I am working at my company since 10 years. Or something like that, or "I'm going to school since 5 years here," where you would properly in English say, "I have been working at my company for 10 years," or "I have been in school for 5 years." So like in German, if I were to say I live in Germany for 4 years, I'd say like, ich lebe in Deutschland seit 4 Jahren, which means literally I live in Germany since 4 years. But if I were to say that in English, I would say I have living in Germany for 4 years. All right, guys, so I think those are some good common mistakes that native German speakers make when speaking English. Like I said, I mean, I always know what people mean, and the level of English in Germany is so impressive for people speaking a second language. And us Americans who can barely get by with minimal German have no room to talk. I'm just bringing this up because one of our lovely patrons wanted to hear about it, and so I'll give you some of those. I think it's interesting, and because a lot of the mistakes that are made are just because of literal translations from one language to the next that just don't work. And I think it's interesting how you can't translate languages word for word. It's cool. Sonia, I do not know anything about American football and the rules of the game, besides the things I see on NALF's channel. Most of the time I see something on TV and I don't really get anything or understand it. When I watched the Unicorns on TV for the first time last year, I kind of felt bad because I had no idea what was going on, and it looks like the rules are very difficult. I'm going to attempt, Sonia, to give you guys some sort of basic explanation of American football. So, American football, it is played on a 100-yard field. A yard is kind of like a meter, but it's just a little bit different, a little bit smaller. We use yards in American football. Okay, there are 11 people on each side of the ball, offense and defense. So each team has 11 players on the field at once. The goal of the game is to move the ball down the field into the opposing team's end zone for a touchdown. Now you get what are called 4 downs, basically 4 tries to do that. You get 4 tries to gain 10 yards. Now, if you gain 10 yards, you get a new set of downs. So if a team cannot gain 10 yards within their 4 tries, then they turn the ball over to the other team. Typically, if a team is unable to get 10 yards within 3 tries, they will punt the ball away to the other team, and so the other team gets the ball with farther away field position. Whereas if they were to try to go for it on 4th down and not make the 10 yards, then the opposing team gets the ball right there. So it can oftentimes leave the opposing team in good field position with a good advantage to score a touchdown. Touchdown is worth 6 points, okay? Following me so far? Now, after a touchdown is scored, a team gets the opportunity to do what is called a PAT, a point after touchdown. Most of the time, teams will opt to kick the ball through the uprights. The big yellow Y looking thing is called the uprights for a PAT. That is worth 1 point. In some rarer circumstances, a team will opt to go for 2 points, which is to try and run or throw the ball in from the 3-yard line. Teams typically don't do this unless it's like the end of the game and the points are really needed because it's more risky, and for the most part, teams will just take that extra 1 point. So that's why oftentimes you'll see scores that are derivatives of 7, 7-14, 21-7, stuff like that. Now, there's another way of scoring, which is a field goal, which is if a team is getting the ball close to the end zone, but they can't get it all the way into the end zone, they can opt to kick a field goal, which is to kick the ball through the uprights, the Y-looking yellow thing, and if you make it through that, it is worth 3 points. Now, this is different than a PAT because this is not done after a touchdown. This is a separate sort of scoring entirely. Okay? So there's that. Now, there are different types of positions. Let's start with the offense. There are typically 5 offensive linemen who are usually bigger body guys who defend the quarterback, block for the running back. Okay, so these are big guys who snap the ball and they block. You've got the quarterback, which is the guy who gets the ball snapped to him every play. The quarterback hands the ball off to the running backs or throws the ball to the receivers. A running back, obviously, typically stands in the backfield next to the quarterback and will either take a handoff from the quarterback or will help the lineman block. Then you've got receivers who line up outside closer to the sidelines and they run routes and try to get open for the quarterback to throw them the ball. Now, on the flip side of that, on defense, you've got a defensive line. Typically goes up right against the offensive line. They try and beat the offensive line to go tackle the quarterback or the running back. Then behind the defensive line, you've got the position called linebacker. This is where the coolest, best, awesomest, coolest, most awesome people play. I play linebacker. So linebackers are lined up about 5 yards behind the defensive line, and their job is to read what's going on and try and react, to go tackle the running back if he gets the ball handed off to him, or also to help guard receivers, stuff like that. Then you've got a third level of the defense, which is the defensive backs, the DBs, safeties, and cornerbacks, and essentially their job is to try and guard or cover the receivers from getting open and catching the ball from the quarterback. Okay, so I hope I explained that enough. It's a very complicated game, and there's a lot of different rules and penalties and things you can do and can't do and stuff like that. So I hope that gives some of you guys who have no idea what's going on a little bit of an idea, and I might have just given you the worst explanation ever. So let's give a big shout out to Mojo Jim and to Miss BRNT and Sonia for the topic ideas. So I really appreciate you guys keeping me sane while I'm trapped here in my apartment. If you want to support this channel on Patreon, link is in the description. All that love and support is much appreciated. All right, guys, more videos to come. I will see you soon.